But if they try to subvert the rule of law, if they try to overturn court decisions, if they try to grant amnesty and put one man's interest over the people's interest, and when that man has been questioned about issues about corruption and human rights, you have to say that the democratic process is more than just elections and majority rule, which is why the problems that we saw in 2008 wasn't brought initially by the fact that the pro-Thaksin parties won. It only began when they began to make proposals like amnesty and therefore created troubles. As for the lèse-majesté law, let me just say that this is part of the criminal code. It is something that is tied to our historical and cultural roots, part of national security, and the monarchy has no self-protective mechanism. If things were said about you, Professor, you could take them to court. The monarchy can't take people to court, which is why we have this law. And I would say that the people are being taken to court for things they say about the monarchy. They would also be taken to court if they were saying the same things about other
Prime
people,
Minister,
and they wouldn't get pardons either.
Prime Minister, thank you very much. In our last few moments, I would really like to put the focus on the future and perhaps to ask you to pick a model, it could be a country, it could be a policy for reducing inequality that is proven to make a difference and which you would like to see in place. Congressman.
Well, if you ask me, let me just say that since the question of China came up, I don't think China is a good model for Southeast Asia, even with the so-called very high growth rates that it was able to achieve. I think the creation of inequality and the lack of real democracy in China is a very big problem. And it's a very big problem not only for the Chinese people, but it becomes a big problem for us in Southeast Asia. You know, we have a situation whereby our big northern neighbor is throwing its way around in a place like the Spratlys, claiming that the whole sea belongs to them. And I think I just wanted to bring this up because we cannot have a discussion about Southeast Asia in the future without bringing in the whole question of China. And I think that we all have a common interest in making sure that China behaves.
How preoccupied are you with the concern that China behaves, Minister?
So I think with respect to China, obviously what we want to do is ensure there's balance in the region, whether it's political or economic. And there are, I think, regional cooperation such as ASEAN can play a role, East Asia Summit can play a role, because we should never take for granted the political peace and stability we're having in the region, which has contributed to the growth and prosperity. But actually, may I answer your question? You said, what is the one thing, if I may, from a personal as well as from a professional perspective, I would say remove the inequities for women, because you would get a lot of bang for that, in a sense, bang for the buck in that sense, because you would address a lot of other inequities. Give them equal opportunity for education, girls and boys, equal opportunity for education, equal opportunity for work, equal opportunity for capital, and equal wages. Because for $1 a woman gets for her spending, she will spend 90% on the household. Male will spend only 50% on the household. That means, you know, they will spend on food so the children are well fed, more nutritious food, so human capital investment. Education, and women empirically are less corrupt. Also a lower bad debt ratio. So it's a good investment to reduce all kinds of inequities.
Obviously, I'm loving this, but I fear you may be accosted by many people as you actually leave this room today. Prashant Ruya.
So I think we've got in the region, the democratic process which we have, and especially in India, is an extremely good model, given the diversity and the size of the country which we've got. Obviously, we have to remove the inequality. That's something which I think we have discussed and everybody is concerned about. But I think the overall model which we have is the right one, and the focus should be more on execution of our plans and the development of the country, and the region, which I'm sure is what all the political leaders are trying to do.
Prime Minister, is there a country that you look to as an example?
Let me just first of all reconfirm what the Trade Minister has said. We do have the same experience about women being much better debtors than men. And I would certainly support participation of women in the development process and taking care of more of the financial aspects of the economy. No, I don't have a particular model, but I think what we should do is we should learn from a variety of experiences. I think we often look and aspire to the kind of welfare that has been built up by the Scandinavian countries, for instance. But if we can't have high taxes, we should tap into the high savings culture of Asia. We should look to China in terms of infrastructure, in terms of recycling the surplus. We should look to microfinancing experience in a number of South Asian countries, which is working well. We should look at innovative schemes like having poverty alleviation measures being tied to making sure children are kept in schools from some Latin American countries. I think we should learn from a variety, pick and choose the best, and make it our own model here in Southeast Asia.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. I'd like to thank the panel who've taken part in this world debate: Prime Minister Abhisit of Thailand, Indonesia's Trade Minister Mari Pangestu, Congressman Walden Bello from the Philippines, and the CEO of India's SR Group, Prashant Ruya. We've been here as part of our Power of Asia season across the BBC on television, radio, and online. Thank you to our audience here in Jakarta, and goodbye.